but in field of politics also. And you found time. I was also seeing TV up to 1 o'clock at night, and I still don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Inshallah, things will go better. First of all, as Talib Karim has said, the initiative has to come in some way every time. Mr. Syed Karim, who was only a bureaucrat, and he was actually the chief secretary, but he got initiative and efforts to put up this institution. So I think, as I said in the last convocation, we must all dream for something big. We must see that we can do something which is different. About the startup, I'm very happy that this is a very good example. I was looking at some of the countries where how the startups has done good for these countries and what our country needs presently. As Talib mentioned, I'm in edible oil industry. I'll tell you that one of the biggest gap in this country is in agriculture. Our yield is the lowest in the world. In practically everything you take it out. And therefore I think if we can do something, improve the yield, not only will you be able to make money, but the country's foreign exchange would go down because you import a lot of edible oil. Second thing I saw very, very surprisingly, so to mention India is sometimes not good, but anyway, in India, most of the pharmaceutical industries are local. In Pakistan, we import practically everything pharmaceutical. So I was looking at their profile, and I found that most of the pharmaceutical ingredients are coming from local products. So I think this is one line if you can concentrate. Of course, what 5 or 6 you presented are excellent, but still they are too small and we have to go too big. Secondly, regarding as Talib said, there is no shortage of fund. If you come up with any program, institution will be willing to help you, and institution need, I will also support them in that way, putting a separate fund for that purpose. With the minister's permission, I can say the economy is not growing well. Therefore, you will not have more jobs. You have to create own jobs. You cannot expect the banks to take you or the companies because unfortunately the growth rate has gone down. The economy is not under big pressure, and therefore I see many people. I went to Bank Al-Falah a few days back, and the president told me that he had about 300 applications pending from masters, MBAs. He can only take 15, 20. Of course, when I looked into it, I was very happy. The applications, most of them were not from our IOBM, but they are from many institutions. So one should understand that we have less jobs, so new startups, new ideas would always help you. We see, with permission, we see a lot of difference now between top class and low class. Unfortunately, middle class also is suffering. So we had to come up with new ideas, new innovation. Mr. Mehboob Karim has a lot of experience in that line. He can guide you. And as Talib said, his brother was critically ill. He initiated the idea and gave her on fund 2.5 million rupees, which I think is not very easy to do. So I once again, Minister Saab, thank you very much.
Because we need this type of a coverage to encourage youth to get into these ventures. And of course, to our incubatees who are here, and congratulations to them for winning or for graduating today, I think 7 of you. I think a lot had been said before the Honorable Minister was here, so I'll just briefly spend 2-3 minutes just to brief him on what was said. Institute of Business Management was established by my late father, Mr. Shahjahan Karim. Mr. Bashir John Muhammad was the first person who was approached in 1994 by my late father to help him in setting up this institute. And at that time, a few of his friends and my father's friends decided that there's a need for a private sector institution, which were very few at that time. In a city like Karachi, where it's a huge metropolitan city, and there are many youth who are looking for university education. So this was established in '95 at a campus just down the road at PF base Kurangi Creek. So the founder members are or were Mr. Jahangir Siddiqui, Mr. S.M. Munir, Mr. Hafar Adamji, and Mr. Abdul Razak Tabba. And then, of course, there were federations and many other organizations who helped us in achieving this. We started off with 92 students in '94, and now we are at about 6,500 students as of today, with starting with just 3 programs: BBA, MBA Morning, and MBA Executive. Salman belongs to one of those programs, so he's as old as I am at that time. Now we have over 30 to 40 different programs that we are offering in social sciences and computer science, in engineering, and in, of course, business, which is our flagship program, which is our flagship faculty. Coming to the incubation center, again, this is SSK, my late father, SSK Incubation Center. And as Mehboob had mentioned earlier, that this was established as an incubation center, and actually, to be very frank, our vision was just to incubate our own graduates, not to, not because we had many ideas within the institution, but Mehboob convinced me that we need to go national. So I think initially we thought Sindh, but then when we marketed the first cohort to induct first cohort, we got application from Islamabad and other places, so we also considered them. I think it was a good idea, but again, I think it's a good ratio. 70% of students are coming from, or startups are coming from outside IOBM. At least 30% are coming from IOBM. Again, it's different because we provide the seed money. Very few incubation centers provide seed money. So we have been providing about 500,000 rupees of seed money to each qualified, startup. So that helps them to come up with a prototype and other things which they need money, which they don't have. So we do that. And as mentioned earlier, that my brother, Dr. Ahmad Kareem, who's PhD from MIS, but unfortunately got very sick and is now confined to a bed. So he said that he would like to use his funds to fund the first cohort. So 25 lakhs of rupees, that is 2.5 million, came from his personal funds to fund the first 5 cohorts of the first batch. He was also willing to fund the second batch of 10, but fortunately, we also applied to HEC, and as Boran mentioned, that we won there were only 2 institutions, there were only 2 consortiums of universities which won HEC grant. One was from Punjab and one was from Sindh. So we were the lead with Mehran University of Engineering and Technology, along with Sindh Madrasa and Daud. So that's about 35 million rupees. 35 million rupees of funding that has been provided by HEC. And it started last year, mid last year. So we have another year and a half. And this group belongs to that HEC funding. So we'll get more people to join in. I think one of our strategy, which is again, now we have come up with 2023-28 strategy, which will be launched this month. It has been completed internally. Now we have to present it to the board. So one idea is technology, that institutions have to adapt technology because that's the future. Whether we talk about artificial intelligence, whether we talk about data sciences, whether we talk about it's all technology related. So when we were talking about this incubation center, we said that we'll only accept technology-driven projects. Okay, all other projects are also good. I mean, opening a restaurant, you create a job. Opening a boutique, you create a job. Selling shoes, you create a job. Nothing wrong with that. And you become a job creator rather than a job seeker. But our idea was that let's fund those which, 5 years down the road or 10 years down the road, these prototypes will be used. So like this helmet. We have this huge trauma, head injuries because of, bikers not wearing helmet, getting into accidents. And, a bread earner is losing his life or, is not able to work because of a serious accident. So these type of ideas we wanted to incubate. And we have, supporters like Mr. Bashir Jan Mohammad. We talk about, entrepreneurs or businessmen, then, there are very few examples like his in this country. Took a challenge, bought Dalda from Unilever, bought Tallo. He got into many other ventures, and he got into education, he got into health, he has a hospital. So I think, a person like him, so I'm sure that if you have good ideas, you go to Mr. Bashir Jan Mohammad, I'm sure, he'll get a support, and there are many others.
Starting with Urdu. और इसी वजह से I'm going to try to stick to Urdu in my speech. तो और मेरी उर्दू कच्ची है, so forgive me or feel free to laugh wherever you want. So, first of all, I'd like to thank you guys for coming out on a winter morning, क्योंकि 11 बजे winter में कराची में 7 बजे ही होते हैं सुबह के, so thank you. So, how did SSK help us through this process? ये journey basically कोई 7 महीने पहले शुरू हुई थी. और बैक देन आई बिलीव चिराग जो मेरी कंपनी है वो कोई 3-4 महीने छोटी थी. सो इट वाज ऑलमोस्ट न्यू बॉर्न. एंड आई रिमेंबर कि व्हेन आई गॉट एनरोल्ड इनटू दिस वाज एक्चुअली द फर्स्ट ग्रांट वी गॉट. सो एक वो वैलिडेशन होती है, इमोशनल भी होती है कि ओके आवर आइडिया इज़ गुड इनफ कि कोई हमें पैसे देना चाह रहा है. Besides the money, which was quite useful, what was another useful thing was the incubation center. अब incubation center I think आप लोग थोड़ी देर बाद देखेंगे. So it's a state of the art, it's quite new, and for anyone who has experience working from home, you understand कि जब घर से काम कर रहे होते हैं तो वो वाली feel नहीं आती, right? वो वाली seriousness नहीं आती. So imagine a startup जो अभी ही शुरू कर रहे हैं, उनके पास office ही नहीं है, उनको एक office देना. So मेरे ज़्यादातर जो टीम थी, I actually physically met them for the first time in my life at SSK, जबकि वो मेरे साथ पहले से काम कर रहे थे. Besides the incubation center, what was personally very useful for us was कि हम लोग animation में थे. So we needed a studio for voice recording. And I reached out to Burhan, I reached out to Dania and Salman, who are the senior officer of SSK, and they very graciously connected us to the media department. And उससे मतलब monthly हमारा काफ़ी saving होती थी. So besides that, the one thing, if I am to say, is, the one thing that I really appreciated, that was, I would say, a mindset. This is something that goes out to Mehboob Kareem. And I remember कि हमारा बिल्कुल इस graduation से पहले जो हमारी एक formal meeting हुई थी सबकी, just like a closing up meeting. That was literally SSK asking us कि where did we go wrong. एंड ये जो एक एटीट्यूड है, ये पाकिस्तान में आपको बहुत कभी कभार मिलता है कि कोई आपसे खुद ही बोले प्लीज़ मेरी तनकीद करें, राइट? एंड उसमें हमने खुल के फीडबैक दी, बट द फीलिंग आई टुक अवे फ्रॉम दैट वाज कि वी रियली ऑन टू समथिंग हियर. बिकॉज देखें, एक स्टार्टअप जो होती है ना, वो शुरू के 1 साल में 5 लोग को हायर कर दिए, दूसरे साल में शायद 15-20 को कर दिए, 5वें साल में 50 को. एक स्टार्टअप ही जब शुरू होती है वो स्टार्टअप होती है, फिर 6-7 साल बाद वो एक मैच्योर कंपनी होती है, और उसकी हायरिंग एबिलिटी जो होती है ना, एक प्रॉपर कॉर्पोरेशन की हो जाती है. और जो करंटली हमारा जॉब मार्केट का सिनारियो चल रहा है, वो स्टार्टअप जब शुरू होंगी उसी से इवेंचुअली जाके एक डेकेड बाद सॉल्व होगा. सो दैट्स व्हाई आई बिलीव के प्लेसेस लाइक SSK, they're startup enablers and they're very important. So आप जिस capacity में इस तरह की चीज़ों को support कर सकते हैं, even if there's somewhere out here in the room who wants to start their own, I would say incubation center, go for it. But otherwise, whatever capacity you can support SSK in, please do. Thank you.
Towards just salaries, kids writing checks for themselves. It's actually sent towards building a prototype, building a product that can actually see the light of day, so that their business, when they go out into the market, is something that they can pitch to an investor. So we're setting up the seed in all true sense, so that once that shootling comes up, they can actually go out in the market and create partnerships, sell their